You're joined today on the nice home management side by myself. My name is Jeff Kaplinski, and with me, and more so the person that's going to be driving this ship, Larry Cramp. We're going to roll these webinars how we normally do. We're going to roll through the content. We'll take some breaks to curate the questions that are typed out. If you guys have any questions, please type them in the chat window, and we'll address them at our various chat breaks throughout the presentation. So without further ado, we'll kick it over to Larry Cramp, and we'll get rolling.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the 601, which was released last week. Now we'll go over all the details. So the big thing for 88601 is the branding update. So we are complete. We have moved over from Elan to Nice, and you can see that with the branding here. Now, with this new branding update, there's two new themes. One is a Zero and one's a Zero Live. A Zero, the one shown, is the default. So all new systems, instead of the Neo theme, is now a Zero. And there's also a live version of this. So along with the with all of our major releases, we also do a management cloud update. And this one, 1.6.4, released as well. And as we say, it's better, stronger, and faster. It's actually much faster. So what happened with this management cloud update? The first thing is the branding. As you can see, the branding's changed to all nice. The app was completely refactored. Not only the app itself, but also the backend services. And if you guys, those of you who are on beta, can attest that it's much faster, and it keeps you logged in longer and all that good stuff. Copy and paste functionality is supported with the Windows and Mac. The search is you're always improving search, so we optimized it more for documentation and downloads. Also includes license keys, so that's a new one. Now this one is great. This is a new notification that shows up on Management Cloud whenever there's an issue with backend servers or anything like that. So as you can see, critical notifications will show as a banner right on the top in red. So this is a great thing, I think. It's my favorite part of this update.
So if you guys are still using G Tools, make that move. I know it's hard to make that change, but let's moving forward, everything's going to be done in this management cloud.
Yeah, it was hard for me too. I've used it for so long, but you just have to bite the bullet and do it, and then you won't look back after you do. Trust me. So along with this, we are now selling this SKU on our sales portal, the AprilAire S86 WM-UPR thermostat. So we have partnered with AprilAire for years and years and years, and this is their latest thermostat. And it's available today on the portal, the sales portal. And here's a couple details. There's 5 SKUs altogether. One is the thermostat, which is Therm-S86, not to be confused with our old audio product, the S86. But there's also 4 sensors. 2 are wireless and 2 are wired. The wireless ones, there's an indoor and an outdoor. There's a limited range, but it's nice to have that option. And the flush mount sensor, like always, the 2-wire, and then the 2-wire surface mount that only supports 2-wire sensors. So again, those are for sale in the sales portal now. This has been on the portal for a while. It's buried with the sunshade stuff, but just wanted you guys to know that we also are selling bond bridges. So we sell 2 SKUs of bond. One is the Bond Bridge Pro, and one is the Sidekick 2nd generation that can be paired with shades directly or with the Bond Bridge to do things. So those are available on our sales portal under Sunshades Accessories. That's where you'll find them. But I didn't know how many people knew that those existed, so I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that those were available. All right, now my favorite subject, drivers. This release does have many built-in drivers, so let's go over each of them. The first one is a long-awaited DSC Neo. This one was a long in the tooth, but we got it. This one is for the security panels you see there, but you do need a communicator card, the TL280, to talk. That's what connects to the local LAN, and that's what we talk to. It does do auto zone detection, the zone and the name. But one thing that you have to know is that you cannot use, we cannot integrate it. We cannot integrate with it while it's connected to alarm.com, because the communicator card has to talk to one outbound device, and it's either alarm.com or us or whatever control system you were using. So that is something you have to know. And the other thing is, this is SC100 and 300 only. It cannot be used with a SC2, 10, or G1.
But it is, if you wanted to touch real quick on the, the reason it's only on the SC100, 300, I know we're going to get a lot of questions of why it's not backwards compatible with the SC10, SC2,
yes,
and
it's
G1
actually,
line.
I'm going to boil that one down. It's a little detailed, but what it happens is it's a driver, but it's also a library that DSC had to build for us to run on our controllers to talk to these panels. And they only built it for the new the CPUs that are on those. They didn't build them for the CPUs that are on the older series processors. So for that reason, we literally can't do it, because the library doesn't exist. And that's why it took so long, because we had to get a library made to run on our platform. All right. AprilAire. So we talked about offering the AprilAire, and this, we've had them in the warehouse for a bit, but we wanted to release them, with this core module, because this is where the driver is. So again, the S86 WMUPR is the thermostat. This one, we did add a couple things to it. Unlike the last one, we have a heat blast mode, so we do that. It has a vacation mode built in, so if that triggers, we will inform that the thermostat is in vacation mode. And time syncing. So if you had one of the 8810s or 8820s, on when the time changed, you'd have to go around and set the time to the thermostat if it was displayed on the wall, which was not such a great thing. So now we sync the time. So when the time does change, we'll update the thermostat, and now it'll be the right time. Once a day, we update it. One other thing, this thermostat requires the firmware 1.3.4 or higher to be compatible. In the integration notes, it tells you to check for that, but there's a way to update them, and I think all of ours are, but just want to let you guys know that. If you buy them elsewhere, they might be older units, so. Lutron Vive, that is now in this release, and that's their commercial lighting system. That's Lutron's commercial lighting system. So we do automatic device discovery. There's a one-time password to link the Vive to us, and fade rate in the load shedding feature. So it's basically just an option in the load that you could check that will say this load classifies for load shedding. So that's been, I think a lot of people have asked for that, and that's in there now. It's a separate driver, Lutron Vive. Since we're talking about Lutron, let's talk about the QSX update. There's been a lot of changes here. One is supporting the Palladium thermostats on the QSX side. So those are supported now. Keypads, the button press and button release is supported. So you can do things like event map off of a keypad button press directly. Now, they added a new rope lighting. I think it's called Lumeris. And with that, there's like a warm dim feature that they added. So we support that now too. We also support their Dolly module. So that was kind of part of the whole warm dim thing. Now, Phantom keypads, we did always support, but we found a problem that was actually in the Lutron firmware. So if you want to use Phantom keypads and have them load in and stuff, then you have to update, make sure your Lutron's at firmware 23.8.0.18657. All right, so there's new garage door openers, nice GO. Now those will be out later this or next month. We already have the integration ready. So when those come out, we are already compatible. Now these, again, are cloud integrated. This one, Comcast, IP control of the set-top boxes. Now there are specific set-top boxes, but what that also gives you is IP control of the set-top boxes, as well as voice control if you have an HR40. Now, this does include support for other boxes, the same model boxes, but on different platforms that use the same box. So Shaw, Cox, and Rogers, what they do is they license the boxes from Xfinity, and those would again be compatible. But you have to check the actual specific models, and the integration note will tell you what firmware number. Sony's new AVRs, the AZ series. Now these are in this this build in both the IP and serial fashion. We did add the settings page to have cursor controls to control the GUI and multiple zones, of course. There's an update for LG displays. They do an update usually every year or so. But 2024 models added a play pause operation. Before this, there was play only, so there was no pause. But now we added a drop down, so if you have an HR40 and you have a 2024 model, it can switch between play and pause. And there's they added audio always ready modes, curve modes, and smart home cards. Utilities. We added drivers for Wattbox. So if you go and add a Wattbox power device and models you'll see, and check the integration note for further details, the 3 series, the 7 series, and the 800 series are in there. And it gives you voltage, current, power, also power link like we do for the Panamax and Furman stuff, and gives you usages for hourly, daily, and weekly. We added a PoE power driver for Netgear AV series. This will allow you to set on, off, or cycle. Now, unlike the Luxol one, cycle is a command, not a delay. So it works much better. There is no limit on the SC100. And one of my favorite parts about this driver is the MAC listing. So when you connect the device to the switch, it'll actually pull the MAC address so you can compare and know what's connected if you have the MAC address listings. So that's kind of a nice thing. Panamax Furman was updated in utilities as well. We added support for their CV3 card and the Rev A support for the M4000 and the DT15 Pro and the C3 IP. All those have a Rev A. So we support that in this build. We added our first venture into solar in utilities, and this is with Enphase. So there are 3 tiers. So you have to sign up, or the customer has to sign up for one of the tiers from Enphase, the watt, the kilowatt, or the megawatt tier. One is free, the other ones are paid, and then we can get the data usage and a bunch of information about what's going on in the system. There's been an update for Fin and Flow. The system modes are available now. So for this one, it's home, away, and sleep. And that way, it'll put the device to, it won't notify you as much or maybe more if it's in away mode, for instance. There's been an update to PentAir. We added support for dual heaters as well as Celsius temperature control. And there's been a change in the Apple TV iHeart database. By default, the repeat count was set to 2, but during an Apple update, they made it more sensitive, and that didn't that made it hard to control, if not impossible to control, without having to go back in and set the repeat count manually back down to 1, which is a pain. So now, if you add an Apple TV IR, the default is 1, so you don't have to go in and modify it. Encode. So Encode locks, the Wi-Fi locks, are compatible. And again, the reason why there's not a lot of Wi-Fi door locks is because Wi-Fi uses a lot of power. Now, these are absolutely battery powered. They don't get as much battery life as a ZWave lock. A ZWave lock, you get about 6 months. These you're getting, half that if you're lucky. In real world, I could see you using, going through a set of batteries in about 2 months, if not less. But they work great. They're direct Wi-Fi. It's not with a module that it talks Bluetooth to. It is 2.4 only, so know that. But these is a great option if you don't want to use ZWave. These work really well. Good call, Jeff.
Yeah, and on this, all of the user enrollment and all that, everything you guys are used to with the how we've done Doorlocks traditionally with ZWave, same thing. Everything's carried over with the Wi-Fi side of it
Yes.
on this new model. Let's get to questions. There are a bunch of questions. Looks like the chat is working. So the first one. Does the new version of LEAP driver from Lutron RA2 support event mapping from Lutron Pico button presses, wanting to control third-party devices from Lutron keypads such as blinds using Bond Bridge?
Yeah, so the Picos are, one way, but we do support the button presses from those as well. It's a good call.
And then Xfinity IP driver works great. Limitation to how many boxes we can have on a system doing voice control, and second fold, what's the limitation on multiple Xfinity boxes doing voice control with a single HR40?
So how that works is the voice control from the HR40 is routed to the active source box. So there shouldn't be any limitation on that because it's just going to talk to the device that's active.
Yeah, active source is the only thing that it's, yeah.
Right. All right. So the next section, I want to talk to you guys about the HR40 because the last time we talked about this, it was well before the HR40 released. I think we did this in June and then it released in close to September. So I want to kind of go over a couple points that, talking to support, like, well, we get these questions a lot. So I figured I'd do a little review, or we would do a little review for you. So the HR40, the thing about favorites, we want to talk about favorites. That's a big one. Those are the 2-star buttons on the top. And a couple things you could do with those. One is create an event map only, right? But the event map only, what you do is you set what zone you want the event map to work in. And that way there, you could say that the HR40 works in many rooms and, the favorite one button controls the lights. Well, if I'm in the living room using it, that's great. But if I move to the office, it's controlling the living room. So we made it so it can follow, the favorite will follow the active zone that the HR40 is controlling. So favorite one could always be a light of whatever active zone that room that you're in. So that's how that works, and that's why that works that way. So lights. So you could also do lights with scenes, switches, and room toggles, as you can see in that image. The room selector. So on the HR40, there's a media button that's soft. It's the capacitive touch button that's right above the keypad, right below the screen. And then there's the media button that's under the home button that's on the screen. Now, generically, these two buttons do the same thing. But if you want one to be a room button, so the soft media button, the one under home, if you uncheck that box, when you press the media button on the home screen, it will go to your room selection. So you could do that first rather than jump to the active zone, which would be the passive touch button, the one right below the screen. So that's what that checkbox does, just so you guys know. This is a big one. Support says they get this question all the time. So with HR40, we do support press and hold. And the way that is done is in this tree. So if you have a source that's being controlled by the HR40, if you go to this screen, the code mapping screen, you'll see HR40 behavior. And then you can select it to override split, and then the commands for press, and then the commands for hold. So you can have it, like in this case, I do this for my own use, and I have the regular command is to skip, because I use that most often. And once in a while, I use the fast forward and rewind, but I use that via the hold button. So if I hold the skip button for 2 or more seconds, it'll execute the fast forward or rewind. So and you can do this for any of the buttons you see there. So that's how that works. But that's a very important thing.
If I can interject here, I mean, this is huge because we get a lot of calls, and I've talked to dealers, all over the country, and they're talking about how they're just remapping stuff. They're taking, channel up, channel down, and changing it to something. And it's always to do with the fast forward rewind. And not many people, I think, are aware of this press and hold feature with the override split, where you can still do your skip back and skip forward, 10 seconds or whatever it is as you're going through, but then utilize the press and hold. So this is a big feature that I don't think a lot of people were familiar with yet. So hopefully you guys will start using this architecture rather than me remapping, specific hard keys to get to the rewind and fast forward. Tons of calls on this.
Yeah, for sure. So we want to make sure we covered it here. And then after we get to the end, you can ask any questions about it too. The sleep timer, everybody's like, where's the sleep timer? It's on the power button. If you press and hold it, it'll pop up. And we don't do a whole lot of press and holds, but we didn't have, we did it on the HR10 and 30 for this as well. So it's a press and hold on the power button. We'll pop this box up. And then when you set your sleep timer, you'll get the countdown to see where you are too. So the TV media option. So there is, this is, if you're using the TV media guide, if that's what you're using, you can set this up, add another page to it called guide. And then under that, check the now playing. Then what that does is give you another page. There's the guide page. And then if you scroll down and in your favorites, you select it, the screen on the HR40 will be much more immersed. It'll tell you what's playing, the slot that is playing in. It'll give you the image and a little feedback. I do love this. And then that guide button underneath will go back to the guide if you want to. I think this is an awesome feature. I don't think it's very, very much used, but I figured I would go over how it's done and how it's set up. And again, this will be recorded so you can review this later. This is also from support. They wanted me to remind you guys that HR40 is 2.4 only. It's recommended to have a dedicated 2.4 SSID, but also you can connect the HR40 to the SC100 and 300 if it's within range. So that's a good option for you as well. Also, the keypad backlights are only lit when the active zone is on. So if there's no zone that's on, just the top portion, the LCD will be backlit. So those are the reminders from support. And now we will pause for questions on the HR40.
Does the HR40 voice button work now? Yes, it does work now with what we talked about in the presentation here. And it did in beta too. It's just ever evolving as this build was in beta to the release. And they're also talking about HR40, battery. For those of us that are used to the HR30s and the HR200s, where we can throw this remote on a full charge in the couch cushion and a week later find it again, and we're still at 3/4 health. We got to these HR40s are doing way more than its predecessors. I like to train the dealers and end users when I talk to them. Think of it as a mobile device, right? I mean, if you're using it, controlling everything. At the end of the day, dock it. At the end of the day, you charge your phone, right? There's so much this is doing. It's a constant live connection because it's doing intercom. It's doing full motion video as a intercom target. It always has to be on, right?
Remote finder, it has to be on all the time for remote finder to work. And so keep them Wi-Fi on all the time. That is a huge battery drain.
Right.
Yeah, there's things you could do. Some Wi-Fi's you can modify some things. I know with the Ubiquiti and some other ones, you can tone down how the Wi-Fi works to increase your battery life. Yeah, our last remotes, they lasted, like you said, for a week without a charge. So I know it's a whole different ball game, but yeah. All right, now for the enhancements. All right, so a couple things. Weather service. We moved on from our old weather service to open weather. This is to keep this service free for you guys and your customers. We did that behind the scenes, but I want to talk about it just and put it out there so you guys know. There was an HR40 update that we added the battery level as a pop-up in this release. So when you take it off the charger, it'll give you the percentage. Also, there's when you're connecting it directly, there's an option to change the Wi-Fi channel if needed. People are using a separate tab for shades, and people wanted to use those user pages so they can separate in the new shades tab. Have different areas and rooms and stuff like that. So we did just that. We did it for the user pages as well as utilities, because there's a ton of utilities, and as that section grows and grows and grows, having one big list of all your utility devices is just a little overwhelming. So I split it up now. You can create, just like you could in other tabs, create viewer groups. So you can have your power devices, your appliances, your indoor air quality devices, and you can separate them all and how you see fit. So I think that was a great addition, and that's in here now. This one is all for you guys. This is the lighting and security options to sort them. So if you click on, in this case, I was clicking on lighting devices, you now have sorting options. So you can sort by none, which is how it works today, or alpha or location based. Now, personally, I like location, but we have the alpha as well. So if you want to support things in alpha case, so A to Z, then that's that middle column there. You can see everything's in alpha order. And if you want to do it by location, that's the one to the right, and that's actual, it'll sort everything by the locations that they're in. I think this is, and when you have, hundreds of loads, this makes things a lot easier. This is requested for a while.
Yeah, this is huge on those big Lutron or those big Vantage jobs where you've got 200 plus loads and you expand that caret in the lighting tab and config, and you're scrolling down for like 6 feet. So it's little things, but this is in my top 5 for this build for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This is the RTSP support. So we had RTSP in there as unsupported driver as it was just being tested, but now that it is supported, we have to add the password for it. But what that gets us is to be able to use this as a supported method and to be use it for the NVR, the software NVR. And you can support multiple streams. If you have one low quality, one high quality, you can do both of that just like you can for OnViv. Swipe indication. So this was a small thing, and I know Jeremy loves this. If you see that end user now, if they touch that button, that says, okay, you got to move the button over. Just a small things like that, I think it really helps. And again, with one of the small things is, as we're collecting data in the background, if somebody goes to the guide and we need to query the guide and get data or whatever, we actually have this little moving circle that goes around and it says working, please wait. I think the little things like that make a big difference to our end users. This one bothered me when I was a dealer back in the day. You have a lot of touchscreens or interfaces, right? And you make a change to a tab of some sort. You add a tab. You know what? You want to hide a tab across all your interfaces. Well, now you have to go through and click on each one, go to media, go to the zone, click it to don't show, and do the same thing over and over again. Now you can just click on it and click on what interfaces you want to have this change, and you can hit select all or none and hit OK, and it'll do the change across all of them. I think this is a huge time saver as a dealer. So I was happy to see this one.
Yeah, and we always used to be able to do like a global copy layout, and copy all of your subsystems and then paste per interface. But it's important to know that now we're on specific subsystem. So if we got media just how we like it, we can just copy the media and paste it throughout. And then rather going to every damn interface, right-click paste, you just check the checkboxes and hit apply. Exactly.
All right, so we had some Dante updates. A couple of things that are in the config now is the preferred master. That helps because if the Dante doesn't know which device is the master, or there's a device that you want to be the master, the master, it says, is timing. So one device has to create the timing so to talk to all the devices. And talk about timing is global latency. That's in there now too. Default is 2 milliseconds, but you know what? Now, how Dante works is if you are over the 2 millisecond gap, so the packet that it receives and the packet that gets sent, if it's more than 2 milliseconds, it just stops the music. So it's very time restricted. That's why it's mostly used in commercial because of that time. But you can change that global latency up, so 5 milliseconds, 3 milliseconds, and that gives you a little buffer there. especially if you're going, long distances and things like that. ZWave, there's a new firmware that's available for the ZWave antenna, the native ZWave antenna, and it's version 7.1.7, and it's a big improvement, I think, on the larger ZWave systems. And then once you update to this core, if you have a ZWave antenna on the controller, it'll prompt you and say there's an update available. There's new custom control for the new gauges that are in utilities. So if you're a guy that likes to create custom pages and do all this custom stuff, at least for yourself, then you can use these gauge types and make your own data with them. And now there's 3 options for the homepage. Default, which is nice, disable, which is none, and user. Enter your own logo. And up to 500 millibit is the size, and this is under location of interface and under global options, and that's where you find this. Third-party drivers. Now, third-party drivers are found in Marketplace, and this gets updated all the time. So between the last time we did this and a couple weeks ago, these are the drivers that were added into Marketplace. Again, there's a whole bunch of them, and you should check out. I also do the updates. So if a device is updated, and there's an update driver that I post that too. So always check Marketplace for new drivers and updated drivers. As with all of our core releases, there's a whole bunch of fixes that go into them, and I'm not going to go through each one of these now, but you can go through them in the recording and see if there's anything that in here that you can look at. And again, resources. The one thing that we always hear after we do a core module release is, the app isn't working right because the apps didn't. You got to make sure you update the apps after you update the core module. Integration notes, as always, a lot of drivers. So with that, there's a lot of integration notes, and those are all in Management Cloud. This video will be cleaned up and posted to Management Cloud and Nice University. And don't forget to check out the 88601 release notes. And that's about it.
Again, thank you guys for carving off an hour.
Absolutely.
Sit with Larry and me, and have a good rest of the week. We appreciate the business and the time this morning.
As always, guys, thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.